hold on. I want to let my man have to tell about Bronny. How you feel about Bronny?
I don't like Bronny James. I don't. I just feel like he's just one of those, my dad's here. You can't tell me what to do. He's a little kid running around.
I think he should be in the G League. He's not ready to play in the NBA right now. He's not ready to play in the NBA first and foremost.
The moment the clip hit social media, everything shifted instantly. One possession, one mistake, one bad angle on camera was all it took to turn Bronny James into the center of another full-scale NBA debate. The play itself wasn't even complicated, a simple turnover during a rotational opportunity, but the reaction was anything but simple. Within minutes, the clip of Bronny James losing control of the ball was everywhere. Twitter, TikTok, debate shows, comment sections, all locked in on one question. Is this proof of nepotism in the NBA, or just normal rookie development being blown out of proportion? The noise only grew louder because of who he is and where he plays. Bronny isn't just another young guard trying to survive limited minutes with the Los Angeles Lakers. He's the son of one of the most influential athletes in history, LeBron James, and that alone changes how every mistake is interpreted. In a vacuum, a turnover is nothing. Every rookie has them. Every young guard struggles with timing, spacing, and decision-making at the NBA level. But Bronny doesn't exist in a vacuum. He exists inside a narrative machine that magnifies everything.
When we get to Bronny James, that kid has done nothing.
The clip showed Bronny handling the ball in transition before losing control under pressure, leading to an easy turnover. Nothing unusual for a developing player adjusting to NBA speed. But the internet didn't treat it as routine, it treated it as evidence. Evidence of what exactly depends on who you ask. Critics said it reinforces doubts about whether he's ready for consistent NBA minutes. Supporters said it's a normal mistake that gets unfairly amplified because of his last name. And that's where the debate stopped being about basketball and started being about something much bigger, nepotism in the NBA. Analysts quickly jumped in to contextualize the moment. Some pointed out Bronny's limited usage, inconsistent minutes, and developmental role within the Lakers system. Others argued that even in limited opportunities, players are expected to show flashes of control and decision-making. The stats don't tell a dramatic story. Low minutes, low usage, minimal offensive responsibility. But the perception tells a very different one. Because in today's NBA media landscape, perception often outweighs production.
He can't go into the G League and average 20, 25, and stay there until he's ready? Because he's LeBron's son, you know how they're gonna judge him.
And that's exactly why this one clip exploded the way it did. Because it didn't just show a mistake, it triggered a larger conversation that has been building since Bronny entered the league. Is he being developed like a normal rookie, or is he benefiting from opportunities that other players wouldn't get? That question sits at the center of every debate now, and the turnover clip became the perfect fuel for both sides to argue their point. Here's the part nobody is talking about. The actual basketball context behind turnovers like this matters far more than the viral moment itself. Young guards in the NBA struggle with decision speed constantly. The difference between college spacing and NBA defensive rotations is massive. Passing windows close faster, help defense arrives earlier, and mistakes get punished immediately. What looks like a simple mistake online is often a split-second read that went slightly wrong. But viral clips don't show context, they show consequences.
In the NBA, you have to pretend that Bronny's an NBA player, because otherwise you'll upset the king. And remember, he is a 6'2" guard that's a non-point guard. I've never seen that existing in the current NBA. And go back 20 years. He is 1 for 16 in the NBA from the floor, 0 for 7 on threes. He's not an NBA player. He was not a great high school player. He was a good high school player. He wasn't a good college player. He was a college player. And he's not an NBA player.
What makes Bronny's situation different is that his mistakes don't just get analyzed. They get interpreted through legacy pressure. Every error is connected back to his father's greatness. Every highlight is compared to expectations that no rookie realistically carries. And every development moment gets filtered through the idea that he should either be ready immediately or not be there at all. That binary thinking is exactly what fuels the nepotism debate every time a clip like this surfaces. Inside the Lakers system, Bronny's role has been clearly developmental. Limited minutes, controlled rotations, and structured opportunities are designed to help him adjust to the NBA without overwhelming him. But that approach itself becomes controversial when expectations outside the organization are not aligned with internal development timelines. Some fans see patience, others see favoritism. Some see structure, others see protection. the same situation produces two completely opposite narratives depending on perspective. This is where it gets dangerous, because viral NBA culture doesn't allow development arcs to exist peacefully anymore. A player can't simply grow over time without being labeled early. One mistake becomes a data point. Two mistakes become a trend. A short highlight becomes proof of potential. A turnover becomes proof of nepotism. The internet compresses development timelines into instant conclusions, and Bronny is experiencing that compression in real time. The nepotism argument gained traction because of timing and visibility. Bronny's minutes are already limited, so every possession carries extra weight. When a mistake happens in that small window, it stands out more than it would for a regular rotation player. Critics argue that other undrafted or late second-round players don't get the same leash. Supporters argue that no other player is under the same global microscope either. Both arguments exist in parallel, which is why the debate never resolves. It just cycles. The most interesting part of the discussion is how former players have reacted. Many have downplayed the viral nature of the clip, emphasizing that turnovers are part of learning the league. They argue that Bronny is still adjusting to NBA speed, and that judging him off isolated possessions is unfair. Others, however, acknowledge that the NBA is a performance-driven league, where opportunity must eventually be justified with consistency. That tension between patience and production is what makes this debate so persistent. The emotional layer also cannot be ignored. Being the son of LeBron James means Bronny isn't just developing as a player, he's developing as a symbol. Every mistake becomes amplified because fans aren't just watching a rookie, they're watching a legacy extension. That dynamic creates pressure that most players never experience. And when pressure increases, every mistake feels larger than it actually is. At the same time, critics of the nepotism narrative argue that Bronny earned his place through years of structured development, high-level training, and consistent exposure to elite basketball environments. They say being LeBron's son may open doors, but it doesn't execute plays, defend possessions, or survive NBA rotations. According to this view, once a player is in the league, performance becomes the only real currency. And that is where Bronny is being evaluated now, not on his name, but on his possessions. The viral turnover clip also highlights something broader about modern NBA media culture. Moments no longer stay isolated. A single mistake becomes a full narrative cycle within hours. Content creators break it down frame by frame. Debate shows amplify it into larger arguments. Fans turn it into memes or evidence depending on their stance. And somewhere in that process, the actual developmental reality of the player gets lost. Here's the part nobody is talking about. Viral moments like this don't just affect public perception, they can affect player psychology. Even though Bronny hasn't publicly reacted, young players are aware of everything said about them online. Constant exposure to criticism, even when exaggerated, can shape confidence and decision-making. Instead of playing instinctively, players can begin overthinking, trying to avoid mistakes instead of playing freely. That shift is subtle, but in the NBA, it can change development trajectories. The Lakers now find themselves managing more than just basketball decisions. They're managing narrative pressure. Every minute Bronny plays is evaluated not just as development, but as validation or controversy depending on the outcome. If he plays well, it's seen as proof he belongs. If he struggles, it's used to reinforce skepticism. There's almost no neutral interpretation left. Everything becomes evidence for one side of the argument or the other. The nepotism debate itself is not new in sports, but it hits differently when tied to a global superstar like LeBron. The history of the NBA includes many family connections, from role players to stars, but none have carried the same level of spotlight as Bronny. That's why even routine mistakes turn into cultural conversations. The conversation is no longer just about development. It's about fairness, opportunity, and whether legacy athletes' families face unfair scrutiny or unfair advantage. And this is where the debate becomes impossible to settle cleanly, because both sides have valid points. Yes, Bronny benefits from visibility that most rookies never get, but he also receives scrutiny that most rookies could never survive. Yes, he gets opportunities, but those opportunities come with pressure that can distort perception of even normal mistakes like turnovers. That contradiction is the core of the entire discussion. The viral clip will eventually fade, as all NBA moments do, but the narrative it triggered won't disappear. Every future Bronny possession will now be viewed through this lens: development versus nepotism, patience versus pressure, potential versus proof. And that means every mistake going forward will carry extra weight, whether fair or not. At the center of it all is a young player still trying to find rhythm in the hardest league in the world, under the brightest spotlight imaginable. And while critics will continue debating fairness, opportunity, and legacy, the reality remains simple. The NBA doesn't wait for narratives to settle. It keeps moving, keeps judging, and keeps turning every moment into something bigger than it actually is. And that leaves the conversation exactly where it started, but even louder now. Was this just a normal rookie turnover blown out of proportion? Or is it evidence that Bronny James will forever be judged differently because of who he is and what he represents?